This video is brought to you by Audible. Go to audible.com/domics or text the promo code DOMICS, DOMICS, to 500 to get a free book and 30-day trial. Hey everyone, sorry I haven't been around this month. No, I didn't quit YouTube, and yes, I did actually open a board game cafe in Mississauga with the help of my friends and family, and it's called GG Gaming Cafe, with the exclamation because that's how excited we are. Please come by and check it out if you're in the area. I can't guarantee that I'm always there, but if you do catch me, feel free to say hello. Anyway, this is a little fiasco that happened recently. Some of you might know about this incident because I archived a bit of it on Twitter, but this is the whole story. A few weeks ago, John and I were at the office late one night, and by night, I mean 5:30 a.m. I wanted to head back home to fool myself into thinking that it wasn't that late if I came home before sunrise. We drove into the parking garage of my building and headed down into the residential parking, which is one level below visitors parking and is separated by a door that can only be opened with a remote control. So tell me how this white Mercedes from Ohio is parked in my spot. This has never happened to me before, but it was pretty troublesome to have to deal with it this late at night when all I wanted to do was just rest easy on my comfy bed. So I circled back, headed up and out of my building complex, and back in to talk to the guard. Hey, someone's parked in my spot. The dude was really cool and understanding about it. He gave me a visitor's parking pass for the night and the number to call to report the perpetrator. I pulled back in and in front of my building and called the number. Hi, I live in... and someone's parked in my spot. The woman was also quite helpful, asked me if I had the necessary info to prove that the parking spot belonged to me. I told her that I'd have to head up to my unit to get it first and that I'd have to call her back. So we drove back in, parked in visitors, went up to my unit, and found my documents. To prevent the risk of embarrassing myself with an unintended fake call, John and I went back down to make sure the car, which wasn't even from this country, was still there, which it was. So I called the number again, told the woman I got the documents. She told me that unfortunately all dispatch were off duty at 6 a.m. and they wouldn't be available until 7. It was past 6. Now I was pretty tired and I figured, well, I do have a spot to park in for the night. I guess I shouldn't stress over this if I don't need to. Then I remember that for my birthday, my friend got me this book. You Drive Like an Asshole and Your Parking Sucks Too. Basically a book of tear out letters that you could passive aggressively leave on people's cars to let them know that you're upset over whatever reason is indicated on the note. I remember leaving it in my glove compartment, and if there was an opportunity to use one, this was it. Unfortunately, and weirdly enough, there wasn't one for someone who's stolen your designated parking spot. However, the very first one happened to be Dear Asshole in the gorgeous white Mercedes S-Class. And the vehicle in my spot was indeed a gorgeous white Mercedes S-Class. So I tore it out, left it on their windshield, and headed back up to my suite. In hindsight, maybe I should have added an extra blurb to say that they weren't allowed to park there, but it was 6 a.m. and my thought process was a bit muddled. Now the question was, do I wait an hour for dispatch to get back on duty, or do I... huh? It was the next day, or rather it was technically a few hours later, but the way I put it, tomorrow doesn't arrive for me until I wake up. I went down to the garage. Empty. Makes sense. I mean, whether or not this person parked in my spot by mistake, or they knew they weren't supposed to be there, they surely would have tried to leave before someone noticed. I wasn't sure when they parked in my spot, but if it was any time past midnight, they probably thought, well, it's a work night, and if no one's parked here right now, surely no one will be parked here until I leave early in the morning. Sadly for me, I'm a night owl, and I don't follow that norm. Sometimes I come home at 5 p.m., sometimes I come home at 5 a.m. And after going through that day, it was indeed another 5 a.m. night. Or I guess, morning. You can tell by these patterns that I'm not the type to ever know what day of the week it is. Once again, John and I drove home from the office at around 5 a.m. And as we drove down to my garage and around the corner, I thought, surely I won't see a white Mercedes there. Surely they wouldn't park in my spot again, right? Well, this wouldn't be a good story if they didn't. White Mercedes from Ohio, why have you chosen me? And why is the note I left you still on your windshield? Wait a minute. There's something written on this. They replied. I don't know what this was. It looks like they were trying to write in ketchup and immediately gave up. Like in the middle of it, he realized, oh shoot, that's right, a pen. Yeah, that's what you're supposed to write with. Why didn't I think of it before? My humblest apologies, as I am but a simple man of little means. The car is a small gift to myself after decades of long hours and sleepless nights. My apologies for any wrong which I may have committed. Signed, your lowly slave, Naeem. Now this was his reply to my tear-off note, which simply made fun of his owning a nice car. And I thought that what he wrote had some hint of sincerity and remorse, until that last part, which instantly made it lose all merit. And it seems he didn't at all suspect that the person who left this note is the one who owned the parking spot, because he's here a second night. What the heck is this? Okay, they've expended their benefit of the doubt card. They were doing this on purpose. Let me remind you about the security you have to get through to get in here. There's the main gate, where if you're a resident, you can open the lane gate with your remote, and if you're a guest, you'd have to go through the guard who will ask you who you're visiting. They'll call them, and upon affirmation, they will open the gate and let you through with a parking pass for the visitors parking in the respective building. After that, you enter the parking garage doors of the building, which the guard will open for you if they let you in, and after that is another garage door to the residential parking, which I previously mentioned. Both nights when we arrived, there was ample parking space in visitors. This person definitely tailgated someone and snuck in. You can't just accidentally stroll in here 2 nights in a row. I went back up, told the guard the same guy's in my spot again, he empathized with my lust for vengeance, and we had a quick laugh about it. And once again, I called the dispatch number. Hi, I live in and someone's parked in my spot. Wait a minute. Aren't you the one that called last night? Yeah, that was me. It's the same guy parked in my spot. Again. Why didn't you call back yesterday? I explained that I wasn't a normal human and that I passed out after calling her the first night. She proceeded to be helpful and immediately sent out someone to our aid. They arrived 15 minutes later and asked what our situation was. I explained the somewhat amusing shenanigans of the past 2 nights, and like the gate guard and dispatch operator, he shared my desire for justice. Now, how did he put it? Ah, yes. This guy. He asked if we wanted to tow him or just get him ticketed, and obviously we asked for a tow. Unfortunately, we've come across the same time constraint as the previous night. All tows were getting off the road since we were approaching 6 a.m. He was able to ticket him then, but if we wanted the tow, we'd have to wait until 7 again. I thought, hell yeah, we're waiting this time. We thanked the guy for coming out and we headed back upstairs to wait for an hour. During that, we had a lot of time to think about it. But as we approached 7 a.m., I thought, this needs to be a trilogy. I have to give him a fighting chance. I want there to be a third night. So I decided not to call for the tow and instead leave him another note on his windshield. Here's what I wrote. I express great empathy for a man who can achieve such grandeur in our current world of painful endeavors. I accept your humble apology and wish you the safest of travels returning to your foreign land. I release you. You are now a free man. The 7th Hokage, Naruto. P.S. Hope to hear back from you soon. I woke up the next morning expecting a reply to the note, but all I found was a McDonald's bag of trash. And I had no choice but to assume it belonged to him because he had one in his car the first night. Call me weird, but I took his trash and looked inside to investigate and take a peek into what kind of person this was. I found many fast food receipts along with the buns of the burgers that he ate. I guess he's trying to cut down on the carbs. One of the McDonald's receipts was dated April 4th, 3:25 a.m., which was the first night he parked in my spot. Which made sense because it was raining that night and his car was still dripping wet when we arrived, meaning he didn't come that much sooner than we did. The last thing I found that really bothered me was a parking pass for a different condo building a few nights prior. So you're telling me he was able to get visitors parking there, but not here? Well, I hope paying $45 to park in my spot was worth it because that's how much his ticket was. Once again, we went through a normal day, and seeing as our buddy here was the type to go out and eat food at 3 a.m., we figured we should head home a little later than that to see if he'd steal my spot a third time. But not too late that the tow trucks would be off the road. We headed back at around 4:30, and like our friend Naeem, my parking spot was free. I figured if he was back, he might have attempted to park in another vacant spot, so we drove around the residential garage in search of the culprit. I had to assume responsibility of protecting my building of this disease, but alas, he was nowhere to be found. He's moved on to bigger and better parking spots that probably also don't belong to him. But who knows, he might return someday. If he was here to visit someone, he might be back to visit them again. And if he decides to park in my spot then, well, I sure hope he can get a ride to the pound. Hey guys, I just want to take a moment to say that you're awesome. Or better yet, you're a badass. You probably don't hear that about yourself often, or you might not feel appreciated enough by others. But I think the first step towards being a badass is learning to appreciate yourself. You guys see the comedic content I make, and you might find it hard to believe that I have my slumps too. And so I recommend this book by Jen Sincero, and hopefully you'll get woke from the slump you may be in and learn how to stop doubting your greatness and start living an awesome life. I want to thank Audible for sponsoring this video and allowing me to send you guys a free audiobook and a 30-day trial with the link audible.com/domics or text domics to 500-500. That will grant you 1 credit to get any audiobook you want from the app. So if it's not quite what you're looking for, you're welcome to browse Audible's huge library of genres and pick one that you are interested in. And if you stay a member, you get 1 free book every month, exclusive sales, and 30% off all regularly priced audiobooks. With summer coming up, many of you may be doing a lot of downtime activities like hiking, running, and road tripping. And I think Audible's a great way to enhance those experiences because you get to binge on content you love while doing the things you love. Available on most devices, listen anytime, anywhere. Again, that's audible.com/domics or text domics to 500-500. 1 free book, my gift to you. Enjoy!